you need to follow those. I mean, like some people prefer to learn by their own, some people prefer to learn by books, while some others prefer to learn by some institutes, some courses, and all are fine. I mean, like everybody's interests are different, everybody's requirements are different. So accordingly, people go ahead. All right. So having said that, again, that is our aim. Another thing which we will try to do in this particular session is we'll try to understand exactly what data science is. So we'll try to deep dive into, I mean, obviously, given the constraints of time, we cannot go into too much of details. But what we can do is we can have an overview understanding about exact what data scientist is. I mean, like you might have heard the term from many people. So assuming that you are new to this field, or you might have seen like different ads, or maybe you might have heard data science from your friends who are working in this particular field, or maybe you might have seen a certain post on LinkedIn or any other platform as such. Now, what happens is when we hear this term, typically we get intrigued by because of the hype. So there is so much of hype across, and people are calling things like AI. Some people will call machine learning. Some people will call artificial intelligence. Some others might call it as a data science, and so many. There are so many things. So we'll try to understand what that means actually. We'll try to. So it happens at times like when someone tells us these different terminologies, and we see our friends working in as a data scientist, it looks cool. And maybe that you might have also heard like the data science is the sexiest job of the century, this is the highest paying job. So sometimes those things are also intrigue us, like, okay, yeah, why so should I become a data scientist too because my friend is doing, or people are earning more. There are people who have switched careers also. I know a lot of people personally who have successfully transitioned from other backgrounds. I have seen, in fact, to be honest, I have seen people transitioning from software engineering to data science, some people transitioning from pure non-technical background like economics background or finance background to data science, and so on and so on. Okay, so there are many such stories. Just like there are many such success stories, there are many stories where things comes like people think that they want to become a data scientist, and only once they start doing data science they realize that it's not for them. So the idea of this session is to make you understand exactly what it is. So in case you decide that, okay, this is something which you want to pursue as a career, this is something which you want to become in the future, then you should have a thorough understanding of that. So we'll try to understand not only just the terminology, but we'll also try to understand what are the requirements to become a data scientist. We'll also try to understand who can become a data scientist. And if I become a data scientist, I'll try to give you a sneak view about how do I work in my organization. So how does my day-to-day life looks like? Are all data scientists same? So we'll try to address these questions and answers. Although we have a limited time, and so I'll not be able to take a lot of questions, but at the end of the session, maybe we'll see if we can manage a couple of questions, if you have anything. And if you do have anything else apart from what we discuss on this session, and which we could not address right away, you can always shoot that upon email, or drop me a message on LinkedIn, or connect to Skill Vertex. All right, so that we can do all those sorts of things. All right, so this is the core objective of today's session. Now, having said this, let's move on and think and start discussing about exactly what does data science mean. Now, I'll try to define you certain terminologies which you might have heard, and try to give you an idea about how are they different. So there is something what we call as data analysis, and there is something what we call as data science, which we hear today. All right, although there is a lot of overlap between these two terms, but there is still a fundamental difference between them. So data analysis is something which is not new. People have been doing data analysis not for 1 year, 2 year, but they have been doing for some decades now, I would say. So if you have seen certain movies, maybe you might have seen certain stock market based movies like Wolf of Wall Street, or any other such movies in the past, you might know that people have been working in stock market. I'm just giving an example. So people have been working in stock market for quite few decades now. So when they used to work for the stock markets, they don't just buy shares and sell shares just on their intuition. I mean, it looks filmy, like maybe you might have seen that web series called Scam 1992, and it might look like people do all these things just by maybe some sort of tricks, corrupt tricks, or maybe just intuitions. But it doesn't work like that. In real world, it's actually a boring job. where you look at a lot of data. I mean, for a layman person, it's a boring job. For the person who is doing it, might be very interesting also. So again, it's a personal choice. So people have been doing such data analysis for quite a while. I mean, like as I said, like for a few decades now. Now, data science came into picture. I mean, there are a lot of things which are still derived from data analysis, but this terminology became popular in the last 7 8 years, I would say. And why this terminology became popular, what exactly are the core jobs which data scientists do, I'll explain you, right? So why this terminology became popular is, uh, data scientists basically, as a term, or you can say as a job or a profession, obviously includes data analysis, but it includes a lot of other fundamental skills. And when you combine all those fundamental skills, those are very difficult to find in the job market today. And that is why data scientists are also called as unicorns. So you can think of it like that. There are, like, in let's say, let's talk about Bollywood industry or Hollywood industry. So you know people like, maybe let's say Johnny Lever. So you know the person as a comedian, and then you might know someone like, maybe some other person like Vidya Jamwal as a action hero, and then you know certain person like maybe Shah Rukh Khan, or maybe some other, sorry, Irfan Khan, who is like maybe has done a lot of genres, right? So maybe they can do comedy also, they can do serious movies also. So a person who can possess multiple skills at a time and find that balance obviously is going to be a lot more in demand compared to the person who possesses singular skills. And that is what differentiates data scientists from data analyst or some other lower level jobs. So, right. So now, having said that, we will try to understand what exactly those skill sets are, so that you also have an understanding about yourself, that whether that interests you or not. Do you like this? So we'll talk and discuss about this. All right. Now, sometimes people do. A lot of people ask me like, what do I exactly do? So do I? Some people tell me, do I build satellites? Some people will tell me, do I predict stock market? Some people will tell me, ask me questions like, do I build automated auto driving cars? So the answer is none of these. What exactly data scientists do is they solve problems. At the end of the day, the goal of every person is to solve problems. And when you work for an organization, that's the only objective, that whatever problems comes to your mind, you try to solve it and convert it into a business value. So at the end of the day, whether you apply a fancy algorithm, complex algorithm, or whatever you do, you have to solve a problem which can convert it into a business value or a monetary value which the business can use. Until unless they earn thousands of dollars, they can't pay you those amounts, right? So that's how this industry works, right? Now, the day-to-day activity of a data scientist would look something like this. So it involves at least three things which I consider as very important. There are a lot of tertiary, secondary and tertiary skills also, but these are the three primary skills which I would say every data scientist these days go through. One thing is, you have to be a very good, I mean, like, not very good, but at least you have to be good at communication. And when I say communication means, you have to talk with a different people. So it's a client facing job in one way. So there are, like, in software industry, you might have heard backend engineers, front end engineers, business analysts, and all those things. Data scientists are typically, you can say, they have a combination. They are a combination of all of them. So they have this some skill sets of each of them. So, like, at the end of the data scientist needs to talk to the client or the stakeholder, understand their problem statement, what they are trying to solve, and then try to sometimes not only just understand the problem. Sometimes there will be stakeholders coming to you who would say just that, I have a lot of data, can you do something about it? So the data scientist also need to be a problem formulator. So I can also create problems. So when I say create problem, what I mean is, I can convert a normal business problem into a machine learning or a data science problem. So that is one problem. That is one day-to-day activity which almost all data scientists go through. Second is, okay, fine. This is the business side of things, which involves talking to different people, understanding, proposing solutions, and all those. Second thing is now, which is the core job, which is the core competency, which is basically analyzing the data. So analyzing the data is where your technical skills comes into picture. So your technical skills will involve some sort of coding, utilizing some tools. We will have some understanding about those tools also, what those tools are, and how do we learn about them, and those things, right? So we understand and then try to find insights among the data. So, like, you might have heard the term that data is the new oil. So people say that store a lot of data, and Specifically, if you see the trend in the last 4 5 years, you will see that every company is a lot more focused in storing data today. You hear things about Google saving your data or maybe privacy issues related to it. So why are people, I mean, like, why are organizations have so keen towards saving people's data? Because data is useful. But to be very honest, a lot of companies and organizations do save data, but not a lot of organizations are actually able to utilize that. So having the data is one thing, and converting that data into some useful thing is basically completely another skill set altogether, and that's what the data scientists bring in. Okay. If you remember, there are two startups in India. One is OLX and Quicker, and they were formed, I think, some 8 10 years back, and they are still not profitable startups. I mean, if someone is interested in the startup space, they are still not profitable there, but they're still surviving. The core thing which they are proposing to investors is basically, we have a lot of data and we have a lot of user base. So the idea which I'm trying to give you is data is important. Right? Now, to convert the data, finding out the useful insights out of them, solving a business problem, that is the core competency. And then the last skill, which is again very, very important, is it's not just about converting the data and generating a report and insights. You also have to convert that, whatever analysis you have done, you have to convert it into a software. So this is what we call building models and deploying and maintaining them. So without going into the technical details, what the meaning of deployment is, what the meaning of, someone from a software engineering background might understand them, but the idea, what I'm saying is, whatever insights, whatever analytics you have performed, you have to convert them. At the end of the day, you have to convert them into some software. So either it could be a software which is a GUI based, where people can install that software, or it could be a web based service, like you can create a website for it where people can log in and see their reports, upload some file, get some results, things like that. Correct. An example would be like, let's say, you upload your images on Instagram, and then Instagram provides you different filters for your faces. That is a data scientist problem, right? So that's, so it's a data science model is running in the background, and the data science background is ingesting that image and converting that image into something else. All right. So that is, so how do you convert that? That is also one of the core primary skills. Now, we have understood like what exactly a data scientist is required to do, and what exactly the meaning is. Now we'll try to talk a little bit about like what those skill sets are. So the reason why I want to talk about these things is I understand the objective of this session is a lot of you might be interested in this particular domain, but you exactly might not be very aware about what exactly it is and what are we exactly learning. So I will try to give you an idea about that. All right. So three things. So I would say, I mean, there are a lot of tertiary skills. As I said, whatever I'm talking about in this presentation or in this talk, this is not the only thing, right? So don't consider this as an exhaustive list. All right, it is not an exhaustive list, but it is like it is generally, this is the case. Obviously, there will be some people will come and say that, okay, like, how can you say that data science does not contain this skill? I will say yes, it does, but probably by using at least these three skills, at least one can get a head start into this particular domain. And what those three skills are: one is having a background in computer science and IT. I will talk more about it. Does this mean you need to have a computer science degree? The answer will be no. Okay, but there is an element of software engineering involved in this. So every data scientist has to go through some software engineering process in their day-to-day life. So you have to learn that. All right. So if you are already from a computer science background, let's say if you're already aware about a lot of programming and all, well and good, you have an advantage there. Even if not, you can still learn it. The core thing, the idea is, you cannot avoid it in the future. So if you want, if you think that you want to become a data scientist, someday you have to learn programming a little. I mean, you don't need to be a very full stack dev. You don't need to be Mark Zuckerberg, but you still at least need to be able to write some sort of code, and that is usually a part of any course which you do or any tutorial or book you read, right? So you will see that. All right. Now I will talk a little bit more about it later when I talk about like what exactly are those computer science skills. All right. Does it include only programming, or does it include some other skills? If it includes programming, what kind of languages should I learn? So all these questions I usually get from usually people who wants to enter this field. I will try to address them a bit later. All right. So now the second core competency in data science is what I call as math and statistics. Now this is also very very important in a way that data science is not just about writing code. So that is how it differs also from a typical traditional software engineering. All right. So a software developer and a data scientist have the overlap in between, that they all both know programming, but what the data scientist knows extra is this maths and statistics. So most of the things which you are going to build are going to be based on certain mathematics, certain models. And when I say models, so right now obviously we are not talking about the exact algorithms and how those are things, but fundamentally all of you will have to learn a little bit of mathematics and statistics. Specifically if I talk a little bit of algebra, so like, and I'm not talking about like a PhD level algebra or something, just school level, elementary school level. So elementary school level is like what you have learned in your class 12. So things like what is a correlation, or things like, let's say, how do you define the equation of a parabola, or things like how can we find the minimum of a curved line. So we have learned this in our school also, right? So we can differentiate a function and then equate it to zero, and that is basically the minimum. So these kind of things are also very very important to learn in data science, and you will learn more about it once you get into the domain. But the idea was to tell you like this is also one part of the data science skills, correct? And the last part is basically what we call as the business knowledge or the domain knowledge. This is something related to, maybe you can say, as your soft skills. So again, this is also a very important aspect of a data scientist. Like they will have to, as I said earlier also, you will have to interact with the business people, you will have to work with them. So it's not just about writing models, programming. So you cannot be just a nerd, right? So like typically what you see in your movies, like typically a nerd people, typically they are not the usual data scientists. Data scientists usually have good personalities. Let me be honest here. So when I say good personality, because they are not just solving technical problems, they are actually solving real world problems. So you have to understand the business knowledge. So let's say if you're working in the finance industry, you will have to understand what finance is, how does stock market works, or how does investment works, how does see what is the meaning of different types of fundings, or things like options, futures. If you are into some other domain, let's say if you are into some political analysis domain, like this there are so many political analysts also, like you might know IPAC, their organization by Prashant Kishore. They do use a lot of data science actually, but to use data science in predicting how many seats BJP is going to win or Aam Aadmi Party is going to win, you have to understand politics also. So you have to understand what is the meaning of an assembly seat versus a parliament seat, all right? So that is what I call as a business knowledge. And similarly, it can go into any industry. Like let's say I'm talking about manufacturing industry or refinery industry. So then I have to, let's say I'm talking about refinery industry. If I want to apply data science to, let's say, predict what is going to be the oil price. So I have to understand how does refinery work. All right. So I have to understand how does refinery work. I have to understand what is the crude which goes in, what is the output which comes out, and all those things. All right. So the idea is to tell you whatever business you are in, you have to understand that. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that if someone wants to enter a data science field, they already need to know all of this. No, you don't. You will learn this on your job, specifically the business side of things. Because most of the time, if I remember even if I go through my journey, I started out with a government organization where I worked in the defense sector field. So in a defense sector field, we were building things for a defense aircraft actually. So I had to understand about how aircraft works, aircraft knowledge, and all those sorts of things. But then I moved on towards my own startup. Then I started building intelligent automation thing. Then I have to learn that. And then I went into a consultancy firm. I joined that. For the consultancy firm used to have like 10 clients, and each client had their own set of requirements. And now right now for the last 4 or 5 years I've been working in the investment banking domain. So now I'm been working in the investment banking, so I have a lot of idea about investment banking domain. All right. So thing is, the domain knowledge, business knowledge will come on job. You will need to, but it is also one of the primary skills. You cannot stay away from it. All right? So if someone thinks that I can be a data scientist but just by writing certain sort of codes, you can't. If someone thinks I can be a data scientist just by doing mathematics, you can't. You need to have all these skills. But there is a catch. Sometimes people think and they get overwhelmed by this, like overwhelmed in the sense that there are so many things. How can we do all of these things? All right. So like, is it possible for one person? So I'll say yes, it is possible, and it is actually quite easier compared to be an expert in all of these fields. So interestingly enough, although data science requires a combination of multiple skills, but you don't need to be an expert in all of them. All right. So what I mean is, as I said, you don't need to be the topmost programmer in the world. You don't need to be. You need to be an average programmer. Similarly, you don't need to be Newton or Edison to become a data scientist. You need to be an average mathematician, and similarly you need to be an average business analyst. So but this combination of having this average set of skills in all of them is actually not that difficult, and this is what makes you actually a unicorn. All right, so you have to understand all of this. Now I'll try to explain you a little bit more in terms of, I will not go into the meaning of each of this terminology which you see on my screen. But what I wanted is, rather than just talking, which have been talking about all these skill sets and all these things, I want to be a little bit more specific so that it gives you an idea. Like I talked about mathematics, some people might get overwhelmed by this or intimidated by this. Like, do I need to be too many mathematics? So that is why I made this extra slide where I want to tell you what exactly do you need in mathematics. All right. So these are some of the major skill sets which typically required by data scientists. So like in terms of, as I said, like in terms of software engineering, you need to be learning some programming. All right. So in programming, these are the typical popular programming languages utilized in data science field. Now, these are not the only language. You can use any other language also. And you don't need to know all of them. Definitely not. All right. And most of the data scientists I know, 90% of the data scientists know either one or at max two programming language. I personally load two. I mean, like if I talk about myself, when I started, so in the first 2 years, I only knew Python. But now I know 3 programming languages. But like even if you know one programming language, that should be enough. All right. Now, depending on the type of company you are working, or sometimes it also depends on your interest level, you can select any of these programming languages. Typically, Python these days, at least, Python has become the most popular programming language, specifically in the data science field. And in fact, recently it has taken over. And if you go about Stack Overflow mentions, it has taken over Java also in terms of the most popular programming languages. But like, yeah, I mean, the idea which I'm trying to tell you is like, you can know any programming language of your choice, but sometimes there are certain constraints. The constraints could be because of the organization, because let's say your organization writes the code in R, so you have to learn that also. But to be very honest, if you know one programming language, knowing the other is just like a cakewalk. Maybe hardly 10 to 15 days learning the syntax, and you should be able to do that. But at the end of the day, you have to know at least one programming languages. So anybody who is willing to start in the data science field, be prepared, brace yourself to learn at least one programming languages. As mentioned earlier, you don't need to be an expert, but at least you need to be able to write small codes. And one very interesting part about programming in data science is, there are so many packages and tools available. When I say packages and tool, what I mean is, people have developed a lot of things already, and we don't need to develop them for scratch. Let me give you an example. So example could be, there is like 10,000 lines of code written for a text summarization. Text summarization is basically, you pass in a text and it will summarize. Let's say you pass in a news article and it will summarize it for you. But then you as a data scientist, if you want to create that summarizer module, you don't need to write that 10,000 lines of code. Someone has already written it and converted it into something what we call as package or libraries. All right. And in fact, if we have time at the end of the session, I'll show you how just by writing 2 lines of code, you will be able to utilize that 10,000 lines of code. All right. And that is one very, very interesting thing in data science field. And because of this development of so many libraries and packages, things becomes quite easier. I mean, like, I would not say it's a cakewalk, but it becomes relatively quite easier compared to writing our complete tool from scratch. Then there are certain tools also. So apart from programming languages, you need to know certain tools. These are some of the popular tools. Again, repeating, these are not the only tools. I've just mentioned some of the popular ones. All right. So specifically, NumPy is used for if you are interested in computation purpose. If you are interested in a lot of dealing with text data, like let's say you're purchasing something on Flipkart, and if you go on to the reviews section, you will see that on the Flipkart, in the reviews section, you will see that they have also an option to bucket those reviews. Like let's say if you're purchasing a headphone, you can just sort those reviews only for those headphones with relative to their bass. So like which headphones have the best bass, or related to the build quality, or related to sound quality. So they are analyzing those reviews. So if you want to do any such sort of performance, any such sort of analytics, where you want to also give certain rating to the product, things like that, they score NLP, NLTK, or even like Vika, text blog, Spacey comes into very handy. All right? And then there are certain other tools, like specifically if you want to do deep learning or things, you can use something like a TensorFlow or PyTorch or things like that. All right. But anyways, the details are not important. The idea is to tell you like what these are utilized for. All right. And similarly, in the mathematics side, as I explained earlier, you will need to know at least some sort of probability. So basics of at least and have an understanding of fundamentals of probability, how can you basically the Bayes theorem and all those sort of things. Little bit of calculus and slight bit of statistics at least. All right. And then we have like some algorithm. Now these are the things like machine learning algorithms and deployment, although these forms the core part of data science, but this is not something which I would expect anyone to know before actually starting into the data science field. So this you will learn while you start learning your data science field. And so these are certain I've just mentioned this in terms of like what are the different types of algorithms which you can use. So sometimes we go for something like classification, or sometimes we go for clustering. So now what is the meaning between them? So classification is like, let's say we have so many students or so many learners joining this particular session, right? Now, if I want to classify you guys into multiple buckets, so classifying means, let's say, I want to bucket you between learners who are actually freshers or already studying in college versus learners which are experienced or already working in a job. All right. So workers versus freshers. If I want to do this type of classification, and I will collect data related to maybe, let's say, your name, your age, and then data related to, let's say, maybe if you have done any project or not, and things like that. Let's say if I collect this information and I am able to predict this, that whether you are a fresher or you are an experienced guy, this will help me. Like, let's say if I am an organization who wants to offer you a course, it will help me to target you better. So like maybe for a freshers, I will give more discount because I know freshers have less money, while for experienced people, I charge a premium amount. So this helps me, right? So that is one example of a classification algorithm right now in front of you. Similarly, a clustering algorithm is typically when, let's say, you want to bucket. So let's say you talk about your city. Let's say there are different cars, and you want to bucket your different types of cars, all right, so into multiple groups. So that is something like what we call as a clustering, right? So that those bucketing could be based on anything. Like it could be based on the color, or it could be based on maybe the premium cars versus low-end cars versus high-end cars, things like that, all right? Sometimes we want to solve problems like related to not just bucketing or classification, but predicting something. So predicting the value of something. So let's say predicting about coronavirus cases. So we already know our coronavirus cases have reached 4 lakh per day, and then it started decreasing. And today, last day, I think yesterday it was some 40 odd thousand, right? So what if I want to predict what is going to be the total number of COVID cases in the next 10 days? So if you want to predict the exact number, there's something what we call as regression. All right. And then there could be so many other things, like specifically recommender systems in fact, it is utilized every day with you. Like if I give you an example, all of you might be using Netflix, Amazon Prime, Sony Live for your different subscriptions and watching different movies and web series, right? Now, if you notice, when you go to your Netflix account and when you open certain series and when you watch it, then they start recommending you things also, right? So how are those recommended bills? It's not just like they are not taking a guess. So they are not taking a guess. They are not doing anything out of the blue. By permutation and combination, it is specifically based on certain. It is specifically based on certain algorithms which are running in the background. They are trying to learn your behavior. They are trying to learn the pattern. All right. So it is based on that. So a pattern could be like what is your preference of watching? So they might have noticed. I mean, like when I say they, it doesn't mean a person is not sitting for you and who's observing your activity. It means an algorithm which is running in the backend. So that algorithm might be learning like you usually at night, you usually watch a horror movie. And then after the horror movie, you typically go for a short comedy video or something like that. Maybe that could be a pattern. So this is something which is being learned by them. And then they can also observe things like what happens to you on weekends. So maybe your watching pattern could be different on the weekends versus your weekdays, or maybe on holidays. Or sometimes they can also observe like what are people like you do. So like any other person. So let's say a friend of yours also watches similar things, right? So if they have observed that you two watch very very similar things, then what they will do is, if your friends watches a new movie, they will recommend that movie to you also. It's basically, in one line I've explained you something what is called as collaborative filtering. But anyways, the idea is to tell you is this is something also which is again a part of data science. All right. So there are so many problems which you can build. There are problems related to computer vision. Computer vision is anything related to videos or images. So that comes into this bucket what we call as computer vision. So videos and images, like things like let's you all you might, a lot of you might be watching this Euro Cups, all right, so or maybe football or cricket or anything else. Now in football you might say something what we call as video assisted review. Similarly, in cricket, there is something what's called as hotspot technologies or ball tracking technology, DRS, right? So what is DRS? DRS is actually a data science model, actually. All right. So it's a data science model based on computer vision. So when you see that in the, let's say we talk about the DRS of hotspot or Hawkeye, or let's say we talk about the ball tracking technology. What happens in that ball tracking technology? What happens is basically the bowler bowls a ball that hits the pad of a batsman, and then by the use of data science, we try to predict that whether the ball is going to hit the wicket or not. And how do we do that? We do that by monitoring the video of the bowler, and then we convert that video into multiple images, that is multiple frames, and based on that frame, we try to detect the ball, where the ball is. Remember, there is no sensor planted on the ball, neither there is any sensor planted on the ground. It doesn't work like that. Okay, all these things are based on simply video and images, right? So based on the video and images, they try to observe where the, so it's called as part of an object detection or object tracking. And then that once we have the equivalent object coordinates, then we try to project it. So there is again the mathematics part, like you have a curve, you write the equation of that curve, and then based on that you extend that equation. All right. So I mean, someone from a mathematics background will be able to relate this. But anyways, the idea is I was trying to give you different applications which are possible. Right? That there could be many things. And lastly, I wanted to discuss in terms of like as I had said earlier, once you perform all of these, you convert, you do your analysis, at the end of the day you have to convert it into something what is called as a software. So there is a software engineering skills also which is required. Now these are some of the software engineering skills which overlaps with data science field. Most of the time this will not be a part of your day-to-day job. Let me be very clear here. That is, I don't expect, if I hire a data scientist, I don't expect the data scientist to be an expert in big data. Typically, I will always have a dedicated big data engineer who works in big data. Similarly, I will also have a DevOps person or a cloud engineer who works on the cloud side of things, so like in AWS, Azure, right? So typically, we don't expect them. But what we do expect, now these are the things which you will again learn over the job. What we do expect is at least the data scientist should be able to talk to the data engineer. So to be able to talk to the data engineer, we call it to having the common tongue. So to be able to talk to the data engineer, they at least understand what the terminologies are. So it's not that a data scientist can say that I do not understand what a database is. They have to understand what a database is. Obviously, they are not expected to build a database. All right. So that's how it works. So that is why I've written these also, right? So these are like, again, as I said, there are so many skill sets which you can learn as a data scientist. All of this, there is no data scientist in this world who knows all the skill sets. Everyone will know some of them, and sometimes we'll keep on learning over our job. So once we start entering into this field, depending on the project, depending on the problem statement, depending on the organization, if there is any new skill set which is required for me to learn, I will always be willing to learn. All right. So this is again in fact, it makes a very interesting point here that it is a ever learning field. So like typically, let's say you talk about something, some course when you do, let's say electrical engineering, or let's say you do a course in carpentry, or you do a course in, let's say, some plumbing or anything else. Typically they have a course and these are the only skill sets which is required for them. So once someone learns the course of carpentry, they will say that, okay, I know everything related to carpentry and I'm done. Data science is not like that. All right. Let me tell you, even the people who have been in this field for last 10-15 years, even myself, I have been in this field 9 years, I will also say that I only know 2% of the things. All right, there is 98% things more to learn. So I will keep on learning. So anybody who is interested in becoming a data scientist, they should always be willing to be learning, and that is in some way a fascinating thing actually. That is, you will be paid for learning rather than actually, I mean, obviously by the way of learning you're also delivering and solving problems and earning profits, but then you are actually getting educated, and instead of being paid, you instead of paying fees for being educated, you are actually being paid a paid salary. All right, so that is another fascinating thing. But you should be, sometimes people are very rigid also, so there are, these people are very less, but there are people, I have seen instances where they will say that, okay, I am experienced, I have 5 years of experience, why do I need to learn new things? So if you have this mentality, life will be very difficult for you in the data science community, data science field, because things keep on updating. There are many new technologies and tools which will keep on coming every month or so, and you need to keep yourself updated. All right, there is a very big community of data scientists. Like, we interact with different people, we will interact, you will know, you will discuss things, and you will keep on learning and exchanging ideas with them. All right, so that's a very, again, another fascinating aspect about data science. All right, these are some of the interesting applications I have listed down. Like, as I said, like, there could be many more, but what I wanted to give you is an idea about different industries and how data science can be utilized into multiple industries. All right, now if I go, like, let's say 10 years back, analytics or data science were utilized at max maybe just in one or two industries. So I would say maybe at least in the banking industry it was, and maybe a little bit on the e-commerce industry, not more than that. All right, but these days you name any industry and you will find a data science application there. Any industry, I mean, you close your eyes, throw a stone in any of the industry, and you will see that there is, you can find a data science problem there. Right? And this is happening, in fact it is happening every day. You turn on your phone, almost 80% of your app is trying to collect your data, and then they are doing some data science on that particular data. All right, so almost everything start from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep, there is data science around you. You will observe, and how you can observe is, like, you can notice the different things. Like, let's say you go to a movie. All right, the movie there also, people have now started, I mean, at least the big cinemas, they have started collecting reviews of people's ticketing systems. If you book your tickets online, they will always ask you for feedbacks. Don't think that those feedbacks goes in vain. They don't. All right, so they, all of them are being analyzed continuously, monitored continuously, and then they are being utilized to make business decisions. All right, similarly, if you go talk to about in e-commerce industry, I was just talking about Flipkart earlier, right? Think about all those things which happens in the e-commerce industry. In e-commerce, in fact, e-commerce industry has the most diverse set of data science problems today because of the scale. So you can do, like, I mean, and that is one of the, it is in fact one of the reasons why has been a sudden boom in this e-commerce industry, all right, in the last few years. So this is one of the reasons. So Flipkart has made very good use of it. All right, so whether we talk about Flipkart, whether we talk about Amazon or any other industry like Shopclose or Snapdeal or anything else, all of them are working in similar thing. All right, so all of them. So, like, I have to give you an example. There is obviously a recommendation engine. All right, so recommendation engine is just 1 second. All right, sorry. All right, so I hope everyone is able to hear my voice. Some people were not able to hear my voice in between, so that's why I took this break. Anyways, so now continue. If you face, anyone else faces any problems, do let us know in the beginning. All right. Okay. Now, as I was talking about e-commerce industry, so in the e-commerce industry, there are lots of problems. So problems related to, you can say, one obviously is the recommendation problem. Recommendation problem is like, you buy a shirt, you buy a red shirt on Flipkart, and in the next 1 hour, you will see an ad. You will see an advertisement of maybe a red skirt or red pant on maybe your Facebook account. All right, maybe not be a red pant. I mean, I don't know who is buying red pant, but anyways, the idea is continuously you are being monitored and continuously these things are being sold to you. All right, so there is a recommendation engine definitely working in behind. All right, and this one, and because of the scale, you can imagine like how many, there you have millions of users tracking, tracking their each individual data, how they navigate through the website and recommending things is quite a challenging job also, but it is being done. All right, Similarly, other problem statement I can think about in e-commerce industry is like feedbacks or reviews, what you say. So like continuously monitoring the reviews. So trust me, like all of those reviews which you write on your Flipkart website, I mean, may not be read by individual single persons every time, but they are being analyzed and they are being taken as feedback and they are being utilized. Right? So those things are obviously another important. There is another interesting problem, which is data science problem in the e-commerce industry, which might not be obvious to all of you guys, is pricing. So pricing is, you might have noticed, and you will notice this. In fact, from today onwards, try to notice this. Think about any phone or any product, random product on Flipkart, and try to compare the price on Amazon. You will see they are like surprisingly very similar. And the time they discount, the other website also discounts that same. So think about it. Like you see that maybe a charger is being sold at 300 rupees, and because of a big billion day sale, they are providing a discount to be sold at 199. Suddenly you will see that the same prices is being reflected on Amazon also. Right? Now you will think that, okay, what's this? What's the big deal here? Why is it a data science problem? It's so simple. Just keep tracking the other's website and just make it the same. All right. So it's not a data science problem. But then I'll tell you, it is a data science problem because it actually is quite a difficult job to do. Because you're not talking about one product, we are not talking about 10 products, we are not talking about 1,000 products, we are talking about millions of products, at least some 100,000 products at least on each of these websites. So go to Amazon and think about how many products are there. Now, do they have 100,000 employees who track each of the product every day? They don't. Secondly, does all of those products have a unique name? No, they don't. Actually, if we talk about maybe a mobile phone, yes, I can say Pixel 4a or Samsung Galaxy S9. But what about maybe a shirt or maybe a top or maybe a skirt or maybe thing. So some people will write blue shirt, blue collared shirt by this. Someone will write. So these are very difficult things to track. So maybe you will see the images and then maybe buy the images. So now having to able to track those same objects on different websites, scraping the data, and then identifying this is the exact website, and then identifying what are the discounts they are giving. Again, the different information related to the products are not given in a very free-flowing way. They're not always structured. You will notice that in Flip. It's not that always in Flipkart or Amazon everything is written like there is a table where it is written warranty. Sometimes in just one line it will be written 3 comes with 2 years of warranty, not including on-site international warranty. So you have to convert that free-flowing text into some structured information. Then only you can do some analysis. So that is where data science comes in. Right? So anyways, I was just trying to tell you the different kinds of problems which could be solved using data science in the e-commerce industry. Similarly, if I talk about manufacturing industry, in the manufacturing industry, I can have things like, let's say, let's talk about a factory. Let's say we talk about Jamnagar factory of Reliance. So they produce oils, right? Refine oil. Now, in that factory, I would be very let's say the factory has a contract with maybe Saudi Aramco, where they have to refine certain amount of oil and deliver it maybe in the next 1 week. Now, while doing the refining, let's say they found out that on the third day, 3 of their machines failed. Now, what do? 3 of the machines failing is a big deal for them, and they have to deliver it on time, and they don't have a spare part. Maybe they have a spare for 1, they don't have a spare for 3. So what what can they do in that particular scenario, right? So now the idea is data science can help us here in predicting the maintenance of the machine itself. And in fact, it is one of the very popular problem which is being utilized in the manufacturing industry, which is called as failure prediction. So can I predict when a machine is going to fail? I cannot exactly tell that this machine is going to fail on this day, on that time. That only happens in movies, right? But what I can tell is there is 80% chance that 2 of your machines are going to fail in the next 1 month. This is something which I can say using data science. And if I can say that, the factory or the industry can advance plan this thing, that they can have a spare part, or they can manage their deliveries like that they will not commit anything which they can't deliver. All right. Similarly, sometimes this can also help us in maintenance process. So like if I know that this set of machines has a higher chance of being failed compared to the others because of the nature of them, because we are collecting a lot of data, and we say that we will do more frequent maintenance of those machines or things like that. All right. So this is I was trying to talk about. Similarly, something like an anomaly detection is also very popular in manufacturing industry. Now I'll tell you what. So what exactly is anomaly detection is something like, let's say you talk about the CFL bulbs, right? So now you purchase CFL bulbs. You typically, whenever you go to a shop, before purchasing that, you typically ask them to show that it is working. So they will put it in the holder, and then they will show you that it is per working, right? But think about the fact that they are producing thousands and thousands of such bulbs every day. Can they check everyone individually? Even if they check, what if the bulbs get defected in between transition or things like that? All right. So what can do? So there again, something like a data science or artificial intelligence comes into picture, where you can have certain sets of cameras. The cameras continuously takes the images of those bulbs, maybe on a conveyor belt, and then based on the image, there is an algorithm runs which can automatically detect that this could be defective or this could be not defective. Okay. This could be related to any product. So again, this is going to also be very, very important and very, very useful. Similarly, if I talk about banking sector is also like something where data science is very popular. So banking sector, something like a lot of you people might be using credit cards. So credit cards, you might see that whenever you usually apply for credit cards, you typically get maybe 50,000 credit limit or 60,000 credit limit. But over the use of 1 year, maybe it gets enhanced and things like that. All right. How does that work? Again, is it just by, does the manager of the bank sits on his desk, opens the Excel sheet and thinks that, okay, this guy's name is cute, so I let him give more credit, or this guy, I like this guy, I know this guy personally, he's the son of my friend, so let's give more credit to that. No, it doesn't work like that. All right. How it works, it is again based on certain models. All right. And those models takes into account a lot of data. So a lot of data so related to transactions. So like what kind of transactions do you make, what is your income status, what do you usually do, you pay your credit cards on time or not, how long do you pay, did you take any loan from any other bank, did you pay the loans on time or not, and anything related which can explain your financial status. And then a model takes into this data and tries to predict that what should be the appropriate limit so that it minimizes the risk of the bank. So just telling you that one example of like utilization of data science in banking industry. Other things could be related to frauds. So frauds, you in fact, every day you see different frauds happening in the banking industry. You will every day get requests for fake OTPs or clicking on an email which can redirect to you, which can ask for your passwords or OTPs. All right. Again, you should not fall prey to these things. But the idea is that they're telling you, can data science solve these problems also? So yes, it can. And one very good example of this could be like your spam filters. So you will see that it is there is an app called as Truecaller. A lot of you might be using that. So they have a spam filter which can monitor you. Although I would recommend not to use such apps, because although they are meant to solve your problem, but how do you trust them? That is another question. But anyways, the idea is they are using data science to analyze your messages, and based on those messages, filter out which messages are spam messages compared to genuine messages. Okay. So this is a typical example of data science. All right. So again, and then there could be many things like loyalty programs. You want to give some customers more loyalty, more premiums, lower interest rate. Like let's say if you go to buy a home loan, maybe they provide you lower interest rate compared to others, depending on how you have interacted in the bank earlier and what is your income status and all. And similarly, same goes for many other industries. Like let's say healthcare industry. If I talk about healthcare industry, like recently, we are going through this pandemic. All right. So in this particular pandemic, we have already known that how useful data science could be. One example could be like you might have heard 6 months back that there was COVID, and then there is an algorithm which can detect the COVID in using X-ray images by 99% accuracy, more than the RT-PCR. Now, without going into the details, just telling you that those are also other applications. All right. And similarly, there could be application in the transport industry, like self-driving. All of you know Elon Musk. Automated driving cars, by self-driving cars by Tesla. All right. So how do they work? They are not actually cars; they are actually softwares. And in fact, this is one of the things about Tesla, which is being said, that Tesla is not a car. Tesla is actually a computer system, computer software. All right, and that is what makes it unique. That that is so many sensors, takes the data. Every time those sensors captures the data of the surroundings, there is camera sensor, there is proximity sensor, and then based on that tries to detect if there is an object in front or not, what is the direction, where is the line, is there is a red signal, green, red, and all those kind of things. All right. And similarly in finance industry, like specifically I've been working in the investment banking domain. So whether to invest in a particular stock, manage risk analytics, customer segmentation. All these again are part of finance. And then there could be many more such applications apart from these also. So like maybe there could be an application related to sports industry. I've explained you DRS, VARs. In tennis also you see video assisted review. So all those are different applications of data science. Okay. So the idea was to give you an idea, give you a peak view of what things you can do. Now, not everyone is supposed to solve all this problem. Again, repeating, all right. Depending on what organization you are joining, you will be working in one particular domain. Also, within a particular domain, also you will be most probably solving one or two types of problem. So even within, let's say, if I talk about Amazon, then not every data scientist solves all the problem. Within the Amazon, there will be a team of recommender systems. Even there will be a segregation of recommender systems, India, recommender systems, US, and so on and so on. So you will be working on that particular domain, most probably be solving that problem. But over the course of years, maybe you will switch companies, you will go to a different company, which will pay you higher and provide you better opportunity. Maybe you will switch domains also. So maybe from an e-commerce industry, next time you move to a healthcare industry, all right? And then you start working. So during this transition, what you will notice is the core fundamentals of data science, the concepts, the algorithms remains same. What you changes is basically just the domain or the business knowledge, which I was talking about earlier. So this will keep on changing. These will remain same. You will transfer these learning from one domain to another. Okay. So this is basically the idea to tell you what all things you can do. Now, before we wind up, last thing which I wanted to discuss with you is this, which is basically what does a typical data pipeline looks like. All right. So although this is a little bit technical, but I'm going to make it a little bit simpler for you. All right. The reason why I'm discussing this is I wanted to give you in overall what is usually the process of building a data science problem. All right. So in just 4 or 5 minutes, I'll explain you how typical a data science problem looks like. And that is something like this. You typically will have a data engine. So data engine is basically where you collect the data. So that data could be lying in an Excel sheet, it could be text data, it could be from a database or any other process. Then you will be having a data preparation engine. So the data preparation engine means whatever data you collect is not always the right data. It has to be cleaned sometimes. All right. So when I say it needs to be cleaned, what I mean is whatever data you have, that data needs to be converted into the amount form in which it can be ingested into the model, right? So let's say we talk about Twitter data. You might have heard people analyze Twitter data for sentiment analysis, right? Now, typically remember yourself how you write your tweets. You write your tweets is you write small letters, you write abbreviations, you write smileys. So how can we pre-process that data so that we convert? So your grammar is incorrect. So how can we correct those grammars, remove special characters, and all those things is what comes under data preparation. And once you prepare the data, the next thing is what we do is basically the core job of the data scientist, which is building the model. And this is the core thing, which is the model, which we say. So what we mean by actually the model is, it is actually, it will try to predict something, all right? And that prediction could be anything. Let's say if I'm talking about a stock market prediction, I'm talking about a regression problem. If I'm trying to detect whether a bulb is CFL bulb is defective or not, it is a classification problem. All right. Similarly, if I want to maybe bucket something into groups, it's a clustering problem. So whatever that model is basically which will come here. And once you have this, another very important thing is, which is once you have built your model, you need to test that whether it works or not work. And in simple way, like whenever you build anything, you usually test that whether it is working or not. All right. So there needs to be some performance criteria. So that performance criteria could be like, you might want to see how accurate your model is. So there are different criteria. I will not go into the details, but some things which we call as accuracy, which is basically how accurate your predictions are, or we say there are other things like precision recall. I'll not go into the definitions of them, but this is basically the performance metrics which we need to evaluate. So let's say we have built the model, but what we found is our model is only 60% accurate. So what do we do about it? It's not good enough. So we will go back and we will repeat all of these steps so that we try to improve this model. And once we are satisfied that this model is now correct, this is good, then this is the last step where we convert this model into a software. And this is what we call as deployment and monitoring. All right. So this is basically typically a general machine learning or data science pipeline, how it looks like. This is usually the job, how a data scientist typically works. All right. So yeah. So that is all I wanted to discuss with you in terms of what data science is. The idea of this session was to give you what exactly this field is, give you an idea about what are the skill sets required. And I hope this makes things a little bit more clear compared to when you entered this session. All right. Now, as I had said earlier, if you have anything else apart from what we have discussed, you can maybe drop an email or shoot a message. And now I will let maybe Binay, if someone wants to take over or from the host, let me just check with them. Apart from that, I believe all of you have been sent a feedback session and a form. All right. So do fill those forms. All right. Fill those feedback forms. And if you have any queries or if you have anything apart from this which you want to ask related to different courses or the different things, you can connect with Skill Vortex. They will be able to explain this. All right. If you have anything for me related to any guidance, you can always drop me. I might not be able to revert immediately, but I will revert whenever I have time. All right. So, having said this, I will now end this session, and I wish all the best to all of you guys. I hope it helped you in terms of understanding this field. Some of you might be interested, and I wish that you do become a very good data scientist, and some way during maybe our lifetime we might even cross paths. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. You did not get feedback from. Is that so? Okay. Wait a second. So what I will do is we have your email IDs. I'll ask the Skill Vortex team to provide this to you. All right. So they will provide feedback forms and the contacts also. Whatever they have, they will. You can try to revert on them. All right. Welcome. Okay. Any other parting questions? If anyone has, you can say. Otherwise, we will end this session. All right. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Have a nice day. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you all for joining. Do you have any queries and all? Anyone?
All right, guys. So our executives will contact you shortly regarding the training and internship program. So if you guys are interested, our team will tell you the structure of the program as well, and the interested students can register later on for more information regarding data science. If someone has any questions, you can feel free to ask. Otherwise, we'll end this session.
అయిపోయింది. ఉంది అది.
ఇవన్నీ ఒక్కసారి కీప్
ఆ.